Today's product review is on the greatest longboard ever made. Okay, it's not the greatest, but it's good. Okay, I really like it and I'm stoked to bring you guys the review. The Landyachtz Freedive Reef is one of the most functional single kick boards out there in the market right now. It's incredibly versatile and it's a true quiver killer. This is possibly my favorite board in the Landyachtz lineup. Definitely the one I've used the most, and it's seen the most combinations of wheels and trucks. Bro, this deck has seen it all. And if you think I'm hyping this deck up, I absolutely 100% am. It absolutely deserves that. Let me tell you why. Whether it's been free ride, downhill or cruising, I've been able to do them comfortably on this deck. The proportions and size of this deck allows it to fit in that intersect where it's perfect for both free riding and downhill, depending on how you set your trucks up. And with the incredibly functional and natural feeling kicktail, paired with how lightweight the board is, you can actually ollie it and do some tricks if you have the skills. But yeah, I've been setting up this board with all sorts of wheels and trucks. So for example, for free ride, I've been setting it up with 150 to 160 millimeter ish trucks and symmetrical base plates, narrow wheels, and been having an absolute blast on it. And for downhill, I've been setting it up with narrower trucks and really big wide wheels and some split angle base plates. I've been having a great time on it. If I had to pick one deck from the Landyachtz lineup to ride forever, it would be this one. Or if I was traveling and I didn't really have a sort of idea of what roads I might skate, this would be the perfect board to bring along with me. And the concave on this deck is really great. It isn't too mellow and it isn't too aggressive. It's just right. If anything, it's just slightly aggressive, but it works really well. You get mellow micro drop, mellow wheel flares, mellow rails, and some mellow W. All this just guides your feet into a position where you stand in a very natural way. And the concave is so good and comfortable that literally the only time I'm reminded that there's concave features is when I accidentally step on a feature. Other than that, I kind of forget that the concave is actually there at all. It's really good, and I think it'll work well for a wide variety of riders. And the graphic is really sick. I really think this is one of the best in the Landyachtz lineup. I absolutely love it, and it is pretty scratch proof, which is really awesome. I don't know what they did with the fiberglass to achieve that, but yeah, your graphic is pretty much gonna last forever and never really fade away, which is really dope. However, there are some things about this deck that make it unsuitable for some riders. The space between the micro drops is only 23 inches. This is relatively small, and this board is going to be suited to riders who have a shorter stance or are just smaller in size. For reference, I'm about 5'10" or 178 centimeters, and I'm just relatively comfortable on this deck. The wheelbase is also relatively short. This means the board isn't inherently good for going really fast, think over 40 miles per hour, and is a little bit unforgiving in the slides. You can quickly get used to how it feels in the slides, and it can handle speed if you set it up with split angle trucks. These are things you just need to keep in mind with the 23.5 inch and 23 inch wheelbase, but it's certainly more of a free ride board than a downhill board, but it can handle downhill if you set your trucks up correctly. As always, do check out the pinned comment. I have all my setups and how I run this board with different trucks, wheels, configurations, all that stuff. Maybe you can draw some inspiration. I do ask you to like the video, leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. The construction of the board is solid and the board has little torsional flex, what you'd expect from a single kickboard, but the deck doesn't handle impacts as well as I would like it to. The deck itself is pretty strong, it's pretty solid, but the way they've cut the rails I think limits how much impact absorption the board has. So yeah, I think that's a point of weakness, and I hope they improve on that in the V2. Could be wrong, I could be totally wrong on that. to be honest with you guys. And the tail does chip. It chips just like any other tail would, but it remains functional for a long time, so there's that. But yeah, it does chip. And the board is suddenly quite expensive. $200 for a single kick board made with 7 plies of maple and 2 plies of fiberglass is quite a bit. However, I think given the quality of the board and given the fact that it was made in BC and given the fact that it performs so good, I think the cost is absolutely worth it. And though I got this one for free, I'd be happy to pay full price for another one. It's that good in my opinion. The board certainly has its cons, but nothing is a deal breaker unless you have a really wide stance or you really want to go fast on symmetrical trucks on this board. I think those two things, really only two things that prevent you from really getting this board. And if I was to be designing my own pro model board, it would look quite similar to this one. It would have very similar specifications. So yeah, as always, check the accompanying write-up link in the description for a more in-depth review of this board. I talk more about the construction, the concave, everything, mate. So do go check it out. And yeah, as always, big thanks to you guys for watching this review. Big thanks to the patrons. I really enjoyed this deck and I know you guys will too. Just watch out how you set it up, as I think that can really like make or break this deck. But yeah, one of my favorite boards in the Landyachtz lineup. I likely am going to be asking for a freshie of this from my team manager. But yeah, thanks for watching the review. Catch you guys in the next one. Probably, most likely, most definitely is going to be a Bear Gen 6 review. Really hyped for that one. Still doing some testing. So yeah, catch you guys in that one soon.